Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So welcome to GloCoach Live, your smarter hub for leadership conversations. Today, we're going to focus on how global manufacturing companies can develop leaders who deliver excellence, operational excellence, as well as navigate digital transformation and inspire, of course, teams across multiple geographies. We're kicking it off today with a powerful real-world turnaround story from today's guest. One that will show you the stakes, the challenges, as well as the results firsthand. Now, before I introduce our highly esteemed guest speaker of today, quickly about myself. My name is Andre Giesiger. I'm the co-founder and GM of GloCoach here in Europe. And of course, I would like to welcome you all from North, South America, Europe, as well as Asia. So welcome to today's webinar, GloCoach Live with Eduard López. So quickly about our guest today. Eduard has over 25 years of experience leading global operations in different industries, such as electronics and automotive. He's worked for companies like IBM, Ericsson, GE Healthcare, Siemens, Bosch, among others. He is a person focusing on results, and that's why he's here. He has, for example, done a regional operations transfer of $200 million. He has been able to do a quality improvement of 40% in as little as 5 months. And he has achieved lean manufacturing certified for a GE medical supplier as the first. He is, of course, an experienced executive, but also an advisory and executive coach. He's both ICF certified and EMCC accredited, and has a Six Sigma green belt. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our guest, Eduard López.
Hi, Andre. Thank you very much. Nice. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Okay. So before, Eduard, I'm handing it over to you, just quickly about what we're going to achieve today in our session. First, Eduard, you will be talking about the case study that I just briefly mentioned at the beginning, and then we will go into an introduction of GloCoach and Lance and a brief demo so that people understand how AI is used in the context of leadership. And of course, since this is a live session, we look forward to an interactive Q&A session at the end. Okay, so without further ado, I will hand it over to Eduard.
Thank you very much, Andre, and thanks for all of you who are here, who participate in this webinar. So today we are going to talk about the transition from technical to people skills, mainly that we see that over and over again with the managers and leaders in organizations. Before starting, I would like to give a little bit of context about that why we talk about that transitioning and why it's so important to have people skills in managers that are working in. Today we talk about manufacturing industry. Whatever I will say can be applied to any type of industry that requires highly technical people to succeed. Can be manufacturing, IT, can be research and development, can be a financial institution, any organization who really needs to have highly skilled people, people with high technical skills. So I came into this people skills environment. Myself, I'm an engineer. And when finishing my master in engineering after 6 years at the university, I remember the university arranging some kind of seminars to inspire and to guide the young engineers going into the market. And I remember in that one of these seminars, there was one very old and famous Spanish engineer who said something that remained with me because of the impact that created at that moment. So in the seminar, that old person said to all of us, young engineers just listening for advice, he said, what do you think will be the main issues that you will find in the marketplace? So all of us were thinking about, I don't know, machines, technology, materials, equipment. And then after a while, he said, the biggest problem that you are going to face in the marketplace is problem with people. So we were looking at each other saying, this is an old-fashioned guy. We have been here 6 years fighting with all type of technical subjects, and that person is telling us that we will have problem with people and not technical issues. So what we, short after that, I got hired in IBM as a junior engineer, and it didn't take me long to understand how right this person was. When you had a manager who was very technical person, had no idea or was not very skilled, let's say, on leadership skills, on how to treat people and how much damage he can do for the results. So this was my first encounter with this technical to people skills transition. The second one was with myself. I mean, when I was promoted from engineer to manager, I saw how hard it is if you don't get the proper guidance, if you don't get the proper support. So I felt it in my own skin. Then I saw, as I grew in the organization, I saw with my teams, with my peers, how hard it is for them, how hard it was going for them to transition. And today, as an external executive coach, I'm seeing that time and again with the organizations I work with or I support externally. So it's not a trivial subject, even though we might understand at the surface, but it's something that is really killing performance in the organizations. So I would like to take you through the process of how this happened, why this happens, and which solution do we see to facilitate that transition. So can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So the problem here on this transition is the way managers are promoted in organizations. And I want to make a clear comment here. I'm an advocate of organizations promoting their own people internally. Without this internal promotion, you don't achieve the engagement, long-term commitment, and motivation to work in an organization. So please stay with me. I'm not against the internal promotion, more the opposite. But the way that promotion happens, and that promotion happens, normal case is the following. So you get hired in one organization because of your technical expertise, and manufacturing, IT, those industries are clearly looking for good, highly technical skilled people. So let's imagine an engineer who is hired in one organization, and he starts working as an engineer within the engineering team. Over a while, after some time, the organization might need to have a manager, a team leader, supervisor for some activity. So what do? They turn to those who they like the most, that usually are fast learners, trustful people, hard workers, committed with the organization. So if you're one of them, sooner or later, somebody will approach you saying, by the way, we have here the need of one engineering manager, just for the sake of the example, one engineering manager, and we were thinking of offering that position to you. So from that moment, if you say yes, you jump into becoming a manager for the engineering team, from that moment, the problem starts. The problem starts because from that moment on, you are going to need a totally different set of skills than the ones that made you successful up to that moment. Up to that moment, you were successful at problem solving, at learning new technology, helping the organization to develop projects, or something related to your technical background and technical skills. From that moment on, this is not your objective anymore. So your objective is to take care of your team for your team to deliver those results. And to do that, you need a totally different set of skills. So if the managers are not, they don't have those skills, as we will see in the next slide, they are going to fail. They are going to create problems to the organization. So in the moment we are promoted, we need to think that our set of skills that made us successful up to that moment become as a second level in importance to the ones that we are going to need to succeed from that moment on when we are managers. So without the support of a manager, that is a painful process. It's a painful process, and in many situations, I have seen people just left there with, and they experience the sink or swim situation where they have to struggle, they have to do whatever they can to succeed, and sometimes the more you do, the more the worse thing go, because you don't know how to approach the new situation. Can we go to the next, Andre, please? Yes, exactly. So promoting without leadership skill limits performance of the organization. And we are going to see which problems we are generating. So the problems that we are generating is, since those people with high technical skills don't have the leadership skills, the people skills, then people issues start emerging. And if people issues start emerging, our performance in the organization will suffer. I have here in the top left corner, I have tried to synthesize the vice cycle that we are running if this is the case. So somebody is promoted without people skills. Sooner or later, he's going to disappoint people. He's going to demotivate people because he doesn't know how to lead people effectively. So people will start leaving. And usually are the good people who start leaving, not the bad ones, but the good people start leaving. If the good people start leaving, then the manager, being responsible for the whole department, has to be more hands-on, has to be more in the details, have to cover for those gaps that people who left in the organization. So that means more pressure for the manager. That means less focus on developing and trying to improve the situation with the other employees in the department. What generates more demotivation and disengagement? What generates that additional people will leave? And there is a downsize vice cycle where situation started going worse and worse and worse. The more people leave, the more demotivation. And if organizations don't stop that downsize vice cycle, it can create an issues for the organization. He can destroy a very good department, and he can start seeing negative results like slips in quality, efficiency, customer satisfaction, you name it. Everything starts accumulating, and if not stopped on time, this can even become end up in the burnout of that manager or removing that manager from that position, not before having provided a wrong or a very bad results for the organization. So clearly, people who are put in leadership positions and they don't have the skills, that drains engagement and results. So can we go to the next slide, please? So what is the solution? What is the solution for this tendency that many organizations have? So for example, I can tell you one story that I was recently working with an organization who is a leader in electronic microscopes. You can imagine how high technically skilled are their people working. They design electronic microscopes. And in my first interview with the HR manager, the HR manager told me the problem of this company is that the company is run by PhDs. I don't want to diminish, right, the PhD. I have a daughter with a PhD, so I don't want to diminish that step in your career. But a manager who is just focused on the technical stuff, you are not able to attend the business. You are not able to develop the people around you and to get the support, and that's why all the problems come from those situations, right? So what is the solution? The solution is to equip the managers with the skills to lead people, and not just processes. Somebody can be a PhD, so congratulations for him. It's a great achievement. But if you are managing a department, you have to have something else. You cannot just remain all your life with just technical expertise. So the idea is when equipping the managers, those leadership skills that the managers need to build or to improve the relationship with their employees will be a great complement to their technical skills. If you're in an organization like we mentioned before, manufacturing, IT, those high technically required organizations, you need to know what's going on there. You need to have basic knowledge, basic technical knowledge. You don't need to be an expert. You need to have just basic technical knowledge to know what's going on there. But you need to complement this technical knowledge with leadership skills. So you need, for example, you need to communicate better. You need to be able to communicate to your team what is the vision of the organization, which are the next steps, which are the plans. You need to communicate also the bad news to your employees. You need to delegate tasks. You don't have to keep doing everything. And there is the other kind of black point or dark area where those type of managers who don't have the leadership skills tend to do. They tend to remain in the comfort zone. The comfort zone is to talk about technical stuff because they are good at technical stuff. They keep talking, and all the conversation are around results, technical stuff, problem solving. So they eventually, since they are usually one of the most skilled guys in the department, they tend to do more things that they should do. So they are not delegating properly. They are accumulating tasks instead of pushing those tasks to their employees. And that also creates the demotivation of the employees, that they see themselves not progressing because the manager is doing everything or many things. They need also to learn how to resolve conflicts. Whenever you work with two or more people, there are personal conflicts all the time appear. So you have to get better at resolving conflict in an effective way, in a way that motivates, inspires people to continue giving their best and not demotivates them because you don't know how to effectively resolve a conflict. You need other key skills like giving feedback that inspire your team to progress and to learn. You need to motivate without financial compensations. Everybody is very good at motivating with financial compensation. With a salary increase, everybody motivates, but when you cannot rely all the time in financial compensation, you need to continue inspiring and motivating your team without financial compensation. So these are the key skills. There are many others. These are key skills that any manager has to have a basic level of understanding and experience to implement them within their teams. And those skills, nobody teach those skills in technical schools. They prepare you very well to solve problems, but they don't prepare you to manage people. So how to do that? This is the key point, right? So how organizations can do that effectively. So the tendency or the most common trend that I have seen is organizations, when they have managers, they think they make a favor to them, sending them to training. Okay, so there is a training about new manager or how management should manage their teams. So they send people to training, external training, for 1 day or 3 months, doesn't matter. But in those trainings, you get the concepts, you get the frameworks, you get the theory on what to do. But from knowing what to do to actually doing that, there is a big gap, right? It's the knowing doing gap. Is knowing doesn't mean that you are going to do, right? So the ROI in training alone is very low. So I have seen many people, many organizations spend a fortune in external training, and people come back to the office and they basically implement a tiny fraction of what they have learned. So implementing and changing and adapting to these new people skills require a behavioral change. And behavioral change is not, you don't learn this by just somebody telling you or just by reading a book. You need to walk your path. You need to try it. You need to get the support to evolve yourself and getting the proper feedback from somebody who is helping you to do this transition, right? The transition that we are speaking since the beginning. You need somebody to help you. So the best tools that I have found in all these years of professional experience, the best combination of tools is, after a few theory of training, that I'm not saying that it's not useful, but it's just theory, the best tools are a combination of coaching and mentoring. Because coaching and mentoring are helping you on this behavioral change that you need to start implementing in your day-to-day activities. Coaching is more related to change yourself and identify your areas of development and understand what you need to do step by step to change your approach. And mentoring is basically on the more business area, where somebody who is usually most of the time high in the organization, somebody who has been where you want to go in the organization, is kind of guiding you to navigate the complex, sometimes complex path to go from where you are today to where you would like to be in the organization, right? So these two areas together, for me, are the most efficient tools that provide sustainable support. And obviously, this today we can leverage this with AI, and we'll go in a minute, because the difference here is training is standard. Same training can be applied to 100 managers at the same time in the same room. Coaching and mentoring is specific, depends on the person. Not everybody needs the same coaching and mentoring. Everybody has his own strengths, his or her own weaknesses or areas for development, the blind spots that they don't see they have, and also the priorities, depending on in which stage you are, in which job, in which type of situation, you may have a specific priority. So you need external support before going to coaching. You need external support for the coaching to be effective. External support in the sense that somebody need to assess and help you find which are the top priorities for you to make the biggest jump in your career, because probably you don't see that in yourself. And here is where we have seen that doing a assessment, profile assessment before coaching is one of the best things you can do. And if that assessment is done by people who knows you very well, that is the ideal situation. Is in this area of the assessment where we think that AI can support us. Because the traditional assessments are, to be a good assessment, we need an assessment that is accurate about you, that is fast. You cannot wait months and months and months for the results of an assessment, that is cost effective, and that, especially for global companies, that pay attention to the specific cultural difference, like can be also like language, right? Language differences is not the same working in Asia, in Europe, in America. Every culture has its own nuances that to be done properly and fast and cost effectively, we have in AI a very big support. And this can help us to scale those type of assessment in our organization. So here we have the different actions that we can take. So the managers clearly need to have leadership skills. Otherwise, they create more problems than can create more harm than good in the organization. We need to identify and support the managers in those transitions, and we need to do that effectively so that the managers get the proper support. So with a right coaching and mentoring, I have seen achieving extraordinary results. And we can see that in the next slide, Andre, perfect, thank you. So here there is on the right-hand column, there is the results of one research that was done a few years ago by a company called Matrix Media, related to which are the advantages that companies that have implemented coaching in their organization, which are the typical results that they got. So on a typical result, on average, though all those companies reported that they saw 60% increase in productivity, 77% impact on results, 40% on work quality, and 53% in personal satisfaction, versus the ones that have not been implementing coaching in a significant scale in their organization. So in the first column, they have been my own personal experiences. So kind of my personal experiences are matching with the research results, where I have seen that organizations where you extensively help managers with those skills that they need to manage their people more effectively, they get significant better results than those companies who rely only on the organic evolution of the managers without any significant investment on their development. So I think this is all I have, Andre, in my presentation today. Yes, this is I think we all agree that to deliver stronger teams and return of investment, we need to have better leaders, and those are not made, are created, and we need to help them to become a better leaders in the organization.
Thank you so much, Eduard. A quick note to the audience, we have a Q&A section. If you want to type in questions that are later read to Eduard, please do so. Click on the Q&A section and you can type in your questions right there. Now, Eduard, you mentioned the assessment piece, and I think this is really important to describe here, because what you're saying is helping talents, leaders, to accelerate in their roles, becoming better people managers. Something that's new to them, of course, requires pinpointed, laser-focused support. And of course, advisory coaching can be that solution. But you also mentioned that it's important to set the ground, to prepare people to understand how to support them in the most effective way and, of course, efficient way, because you still want to focus mainly on work and not on lots of different courses or different support methodologies. So what I can share here briefly before we move to the next section is how we do that at GloCoach. So GloCoach, we have developed an AI tool, an agentic AI solution called Lance. And just briefly, I want to explain how this works, and then we can briefly demo that in the context that Eduard explained earlier. So most of you will be familiar with 360 teams. And I think it's really important to understand what Eduard said earlier. Just assessing something that is not calibrated, something that is, let's say, reputational or a psychometric tool, where you end up being green, blue, or yellow, doesn't really help you understand where specifically you need to improve. Nor does it if somebody gives you a rating 3 out of 5 in a particular area without giving you any backup. So what observation-based assessments do, 360s that are based on interviews, what they do, they typically give you very clear specific areas of strength, backed by examples and impact, as well as areas of personal growth opportunities backed by examples and impact on business and team. So we've taken this idea, but we've done this with an agent to speed it up, give better, more calibrated data faster, and of course at a much lower cost. So essentially what happens is we have different interviews that are happening through an app, and we will demo that just in a second. It's called the personal discovery interview, lasts about 20 minutes, asking the talent here, the gentleman with the blue tie, what his goals are, where he would like to develop. And then we set up separate interviews for the 360 team members. In this case, 4 people. The gentleman with the red beard, his line manager, as well as some peers and direct reports. They each will also have an interview with Lance, and Lance will ask them about strengths, examples, impact business team, blind spots, examples, business teams, ideal behavior, examples, impact business teams. And all those interviews will then be generating an report, an assessment report that can be debriefed for alignment with the talent and then set targets to develop, no matter if it's coaching or something else. Mentorship was one thing that you mentioned, Eduard. Okay, so now in order to demo that, we do have an app. You see the screen there, but when you're opening the screen, essentially what it looks like is this, and I have a sample here on my phone. And I will start an interview, or I should better say, Eduard will start an interview and we will switch, and that gives you an idea how this works. Now, please bear with me. So we'll have this starting right now.
Hola, ¿está listo para retomar la entrevista? Reanudemos la conversación desde donde la dejamos. ¿Cuáles son esas 3 palabras que vienen a tu mente para describir a James?
A mi mente me viene la palabra dinámico, colaborador y entusiasta.
Gracias por compartir dinámico, colaborador y entusiasta. Esa combinación sugiere que James es una persona que se adapta fácilmente a diferentes situaciones, trabaja bien en equipo y siempre aporta energía positiva. Eso nos da una idea clara de cómo enfrenta nuevos retos y cómo se relaciona con los demás. Es un gran contexto para seguir explorando sus fortalezas y áreas de desarrollo. Hablando de fortalezas, ¿podrías compartir una en particular que consideres clave en James?
Sí, es muy buen comunicador.
Aprecio tu respuesta. Para profundizar un poco más, ¿podrías describir cómo se manifiesta esa capacidad de comunicación en su día a día?
Hey, Lance, can we do this in English, please?
Of course, we'll switch to English from now on. Thanks for letting me know. So focusing on his communication strength, could you describe a bit more about how that communication shows up in his daily interactions?
Well, for one, when he does have even difficult messages to deliver, he is very, very good in synthesizing the information in a kind of a positive spin. So even when obviously tough messages need to be delivered, he shows an ability to rally the troops, to get the people behind him and address the challenges directly.
It sounds like James has a natural talent for taking even tough messages and framing them in a way that uplifts and motivates others. That's a strong example of what we call inspirational communication. How do people typically respond when he delivers these messages in that positive way?
Hey, Lance, I need to take a break. Is it okay if I come back to you? Because I gotta continue here at webinar.
Of course, that's absolutely fine. You can pause here and come back whenever you're ready to continue. I'll be here to pick up right where we left off. Just let me know when you'd like to resume, and we'll continue from there. Thank you for letting me know.
Thank you. Okay, so this gave you just an example. We have over 14 languages for Lance. You can even do it in, I saw we have some German speaking guests here. So this would work in German, even Swiss German. And the point here being actually an assessment shouldn't be a language exercise. We've had clients doing cross-cultural teams in different languages. It can be Portuguese in Brazil, with Spanish in Colombia, with English for somebody based in Germany. And all of it gets generated in different reports. We don't have to worry about it. So this is really what it means to have a truly global tool that not only adjusts for obviously input in terms of content, but also language. So that's what I wanted to highlight here. And of course, there's much more to it, because what it does do, it generates then the summary of the report and the OBAs, the observation-based assessments, which then lead to also not only individual reports, but also tools where you can assess talents. And leaders can then think, leaders of organizations or teams can think of, how do I implement a strategy? Do I have the people in place to do it? And if not, how do I need to reallocate some of those human resources, that human capital, the talent we have in place, and how can I support them in a pinpointed fashion? And because it's all calibrated, we can then either match a mentor, a coach, or something else. So that's in summary. And again, of course, if you want to experience more about it, let us know. That's not the purpose of today's conversation. I would like to open it up at this point for the conversation and Q&A. We have some time left, and at this point, please let us know if you have a question for Eduard. I see we did get some questions here. Danielle, let me read the question. Given the advancement in the AI space, how can companies in the future justify towards their shareholders that management decisions are made by humans and not AI, which at some point will be more prone to errors or human errors? Thank you, Daniel. Eduard, do you want to take that question, please?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you very much, Daniel. Well, the point is that as we have been reading and hearing these days about the AI capabilities, that they are able to do many things much better than humans, and we have many examples on that area. But I read the other day something I would like to share with you, especially directed to the organizations in the professional organizational context, in the sense that AI will not drive change. This was what I read that resonated immediately with me, right? AI will not drive change. So organizations need change, need leaders and managers who are working to promote the change in the organization. And what will promote the change and will speed up that change is managers and leaders supported by AI. Not AI alone. AI alone will not drive any change, but the managers and leaders using the AI will. That's the importance of having a very good and talented team of management team, leadership team, being ready to take those tools like AI today and to drive the change organization needs. I don't know if that fully answered the question.
Well, let me just add maybe a little bit more and build up on what you just said, Eduard. I think it's exactly what you're saying. We believe at GloCoach at least that the future is human-centric, yet AI-enabled. And let me make this very clear. Everybody here in this room, including a CEO of an organization, needs to be AI, an AI user. And it is incredibly important that we all need to understand how to use AI effectively, and the companies, especially manufacturing companies, need to move from AI use cases to AI business cases. And HR makes no difference. So I think it's really important that we understand decisions, like you pointed out, Eduard, decisions are always made by the human. What an agentic AI system does, like Lance, is provide you with data-driven insights that are as objective as possible, as calibrated as possible, knowing that the information comes from subjective sources, people, us, you and me, but allows people then to get a more balanced perspective before making a decision. So again, what you would say, Daniel, to your board is, I'm still making the decisions, but I have better information faster to make the right decision. Is it always going to be the right decision? No, but hopefully more often. So that's, I hope this answers your question. Do we have any other questions from the audience? I have actually one here. Let me read this out as well. And Eduard, this one here is, which are the main leadership skill gaps organizations must work on as a priority today? Do you see a trend or some common priorities?
Mm-hmm. Well, based on the context of our conversation today about manufacturing, IT industry, highly technical environments where you need that technical skills. I would say that let me think. Sorry, I lost my
train of thought. No problem.
Yes.
But the common priorities, yeah, the common priorities that we're looking at.
Yes,
in terms of behaviors that need to that need the gaps that we need to close, I should say.
Yes, exactly. So in that environment, the most important priorities, the top priorities, are skills related to how to relate with other people. Technical skill guys are usually focusing on specific things, problem solving, data, machines, something very specific to solve one specific problem. In the moment you elevate yourself to be a manager, the first priority is you need to relate well with others. You need to develop, if you don't have it, you need to develop your emotional intelligence. You need to improve your communication, and you need to improve your the way you inspire others to follow what you are saying, right? So you need to start creating that environment where everything starts flowing, and you are there, the ones driving that flow, right? Then there are many other skills, but the first one is to get the technical guys out of the reports, out of the screens, out of the analysis of data, and really push them to improve the way they relate to other people. This is what I have seen as key priorities.
Absolutely. I mean, just to add on this, I think what we're seeing, and I've been now in the AI space for over 10 years, and I think it's incredibly important to understand what AI can do. AI can't do, and that's why we still have real coaches, right? people like yourself will have a job for a long time to come, because the reality is, out of context referencing, creativity, reading between the lines, all these soft skills that are incredibly important in elevating the team, becoming a good people leader, right? Not a manager of processes. That's something that is going to differentiate us from AI. But using, of course, AI, as you pointed out, doing the data analysis, that is going to be very important. Well, thank you very much. The next question comes from Mark. It says here, for promoting the service of accelerating the transition from technical to manager through coaching, what sales pitch would you suggest to give the company managers? Maybe the KPIs you shared in the table, but something more subjective or emotional. Thank you, Mark.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for your question. I think KPIs come after something, right? So everybody wants to improve KPIs. Organization need to improve KPIs to better cope with their challenges and to serve better their customers. But KPIs is a consequence of something. So that what you mentioned, more subjective or emotional, is how to create the conditions to make the KPI happen. If you don't create those conditions with those skills that we were talking about before, you will not get a sustainable KPI improvement, because KPIs are achieved by people. And if you don't make the people working well together, being inspired, motivated, learning different things, creative, if you don't create those conditions, the KPIs will never come. No matter how hard and pushy, aggressive a manager can be, you will not achieve that in the long term. So what I would say is to create the conditions for the KPIs to happen.
Okay, great. Mark, I hope that answered your question. And I, we get something also a little bit in the direction of pushback. Have you, let me see here, do you have to deal with pushback using AI? And how do you deal with them? Because obviously there's a lot of concern about AI replacing people, but how do you typically in that coaching environment ensure that you can deal with that pushback? What are your arguments?
Obviously, everything that we want to implement, there is a pushback, right? When there is something new, people resist to accept anything new, and they know better. Usually they say that was working well, we don't need this, right? And the idea is the basic process of coaching and mentoring, what we said before, the basic process is a one-to-one between the coach, mentor, and the talent, where maybe in that relationship there is not AI. There is human intelligence between two people. AI is a tool that will help in many aspects of that relationship, right? So what I would say, the people who resist AI, I would say the coaching and mentoring has nothing to do with AI. The pure coaching process has nothing to do with AI. AI is a tool that will facilitate in many things. And we have seen AI summarizing meetings, AI proposing alternatives on some areas, proposing ideas. So AI is a tool, but the coaching process for companies has nothing. The pure process is not AI. So I would not scare. I would not scare I would not chase the managers off in the coaching area just because they hear AI, right? So it's the pure relationship between coach and talent.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We probably have time for another question. I have something that was pre-submitted here, but do we have anybody of the live audience here that would like to ask an additional question? Please post it in the Q&A section. So the other one, otherwise, I see we can take maybe as a last before we go into the summary. I wanted to see a little bit if you can tell us the difference, because obviously you worked in different areas, you worked across different regions in the globe, and it says here, if you see any differences here in Europe versus Asia and the Americas, because obviously we're in a global, a very competitive space. We know that AI is more successful or also faster adopted in Asia and the Americas. So, but where do you see the differences, and can you allude to that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have seen, well, there are differences in cultural difference for sure. And the way managers approach the role is very different. How hierarchical and directive an Asian organization can be compared to Northern Europe, that is much more open and cooperative, and compared with South American, that is more dynamic and maybe emotional way of handling things, right? So those cultural difference is kind of a plus or something to consider when we are developing our managers. We cannot expect a manager being exactly behaving the same in a company in China or in a company in Germany. The approach is different. We need to equip those managers to be able to be sensitive and prepared to implement those things that are effective in their environment. The idea is not, I know everything, you should do what I say, is what of what we are doing is the most effective way in this setup, in this environment, right? How the organization works better or is the better for what's the best approach, thinking of our customers in mind, what's the best approach for today, right? So, and each region will have its own differences, and all of them can be good or bad depending on the results and the environment that they are applying that.
That requires true agility, right? And that's what we're asking for today. And again, information, data can provide insights that allow for agility. Thank you so much. I'd like to go on now and briefly summarize, if you don't mind, the key takeaways. Obviously, some of the 5 points here that you brought up, I don't need to read them all, but summarize. You spoke about moving from technical skills to leadership skills is really important, and that companies and teams very much underestimate what it takes to get there. And you can hope for the sink or swim methodology, or just people will evolve or not. And that's, of course, one way of doing it. But today, people use laser-focused approaches to accelerate personal and professional growth. You spoke about, of course, that the resilience of the workforce today is more important than ever. We obviously deal with a lot of challenges on the macroeconomic level. Might it be war in Europe? Might it be different challenges in the US with tariffs, and of course many other challenges around the world, plus the industry. Certain industries being in turmoil. You spoke about, and the third point here is that it's really important that you develop these skills, not just for the individual person, the leader, but of course to elevate the teams. This is really important. And I like what you said, actually. You said, walk your path. Walk your path and get help with the transition in reaching that next level. And it is important to understand it's not a one-person show. It's always about the team. So how can I elevate my team? And I do that by making them successful. So this is the manager's responsibility. And then you spoke about really combining the tools that we have today. What worked yesterday doesn't necessarily mean it works today. If the world is moving on and using AI, which it is, okay, then it's important to adopt and see how we can work more effectively with those tools, because it's not AI that will replace people. It is people who can use AI effectively who will replace people who cannot. Okay. And last but not least here, obviously, the AI-powered behavior insights is really about the laser-focused approach that is adjusted to your needs in your geography, in your industry today. And that is what actually this is all about. So again, big thank you to Eduard López. Thank you so much for sharing the insights and the samples. It was inspiring to hear what you had to share. If you, dear listeners, are interested in finding out more, please do so. We have here, of course, a QR code you can scan to follow us. We will be reposting key points of Eduard's talk today. We will make recordings accessible. And so just a few closing remarks. I would say that leadership transformation, as we spoke today, in manufacturing doesn't just happen by accident. It happens by design. And I hope these points that Eduard highlighted make that clear. With AI-powered insights, you can, standardize excellence across sites, measure the impact in real time, and prepare the next generation of leaders. And this is going to be crucial for you, for your success today. So in today's session, if that session resonated with you, dear audience, please do schedule an appointment with us, and we can see how we can help your leaders to thrive in the future. Again, thank you very much for attending our live seminar today, and I hope to see you in a future GloCoach live session. Thank you so much, and have a good morning, a good afternoon, and a good night to our audience in Asia. Thank you so much, and see you soon again. Bye-bye.